Good morning, everyone. We're about to begin for Charm TV purposes.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lundy.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
On the record at 10:35.
Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's July 28th, 2022 hearing docket. My name is Nicholas Blendy, and I am the Board's Deputy Executive Secretary and be calling the cases. Mr. Chairman, are we any preliminaries or just call the first case?
No, good morning. Let's get started.
Then, first portion of the docket is regular items. Case number 1, 2120 Charles Operating LLC, trading as trade name pending. Proposed premises are located at 2120 North Charles Street. This is an application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1603C7, requesting live entertainment, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Mr. Hurdle, is this your case?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of 2120 Charles Operating. I did speak with someone from the community here who has asked that we have a chance to talk. I know that this is the only transfer, so I hate to have the board start and then pull back. But we have not had a chance to discuss with them some of their concerns, and we wanted to do that.
Do you want us to take the second case and then come back to you?
Yes, the only concern is I think I'm 3 and 4 as well. So we'll get it all sorted out, though, real quick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let's pass this and then come back to it.
Thank you.
All right, so this matter has been continued to a later portion of today's docket. Case number 2, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Item number 2 on the regular items, Shiva Incorporated, trading as Club Paradise Liquor. Premises are located at 1300 to 02 Lawrence Street, and this is an application to transfer ownership only of a Class A7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Good morning. Bruce Kurlander on behalf of the applicants Uday Pansera, Larry Sink, and Om Shiva Inc. in connection with the transfer of a Class A7 liquor license for the premises located at 1300 to 1302 Lawrence Street, doing business as Club Paradise Liquors.
Good morning.
And
Do you want to proffer for us?
yes, I'd like to proffer for the 2 licensees. Mr. Sink is already a licensee. He's the sole person on the license at the present time. However, he is selling his entire interest in the liquor store to Mr. Pansera and his corporation, Om Shiva Inc. Mr. Sink is staying on as the resident agent. Mr. Pansera just recently moved to 3 Jesse Court, Reisterstown, Maryland, 21136, so we are going to update the application in connection with that. Mr. Pansera has never owned his own business before, so he's looking forward to owning this liquor store. He will initially be working there 14 hours a day, which is all the hours that the liquor store is open 7 days a week, until he's comfortable that he has a solid manager but he will also continue to work at the store, although not quite at those hours, once he does have his manager in place. Mr. Pansera has alcohol awareness training, certified. He'll make sure also that the manager that he gets will do the same. There are currently, other than Mr. Sink, and perhaps his wife, 4 employees, most of whom live in Baltimore City. They will be retained. And also, Mr. Pansera intends to continue the community activity that Mr. Sink had engaged in. Mr. Sink, the liquor store has sponsored food drives in the area. Mr. Pansera will continue that. He will also look for other opportunities to assist with the community. The individuals from the community are paid to keep the premises area very nice, free of refuse, and that practice will also continue under Mr. Pansera. Mr. Sink lives nearby, and Mr. Pansera can always get advice from him. We had one letter in support that was filed previously. I don't know if you have that, but I have another copy of that and a second letter of support. One is from Leon Pinkett III, and one is from Mario Chang, which I'd like
Go
to
and offer
submit.
them, they'll be received.
Okay, who should I?
Well, you can give them to Ms. Russell, and she'll pass them to us.
Thank you.
Okay.
And what did Mr. Pansera do before this?
Mr. Pansera?
Can you
He's an
raise your
engineer.
right hand,
Oh.
please?
Swear to affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And can you move to the microphone? Thank you.
And tell us your name.
Uday Pansara.
And what were you doing before you took over this establishment?
I was working in IT, and I'm still continue working on it as it is a remote.
Oh, okay. So you work remotely for that job, and then you're going to be at this place now all day long as well?
Yes, I will work from the store.
Okay. And have you started working at this store?
I haven't got a chance to visit it yet. I mean, the work-wise, but we are still working on the settlements date and the closing procedures.
Okay. So when do you think you'll be there?
As soon as I get the settlement dates from the bank and finance, I will be notifying Mr. Larry Sink, and will follow up to schedule something that I can start working there.
Okay. Let me just take a quick.
The understanding is that once closing occurs on the sale, then Mr. Pansera will begin working there. I mean, presuming that we have a license at that point in time.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
No question.
Just a comment, this is a license that's had issues with sales to minors in good ways and bad ways. It's received violations, and it's also received letters of commendation. I would just alert you to make sure that you're carding everyone who appears to be remotely close to 40 years old, because there's clearly some issues, so I would be aware of that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from council, the testimony received, as well as the new exhibits, which are letters of support from Councilman Pickett and Mr. Chang, I would vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class A7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Commissioners?
Based upon the application, the proffer, the letters of support, I too would vote to approve this application to transfer ownership.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also approve the application to transfer ownership of a Class A7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Article exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from K-Grow, MD. 2, letter of support from Councilman Leon Pinkett III.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Pansera.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant has received instructions from this agency on how to legally complete this transfer of ownership that board preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. You want to?
Shall we return to case number 1?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hurdle? Thank you. Recalling item number 1 of the regular items that was continued previously, 2120 Charles Operating LLC, trading as trade name pending. Proposed premises are located at 2120 North Charles Street, and it's an application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1603C7, requesting live entertainment, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you, Commissioners. Abraham Hurd on behalf of 2120 Charles Operating LLC. With me is Mr. Matthew Moses, the licensee, and Mr. Kelly, who is also going to be someone from the Old Goucher neighborhood, who is in support of this matter. If I may give some brief background on this location and what we're here for.
Okay.
This is a new BD7 under special rules that allow such a BD7 to be issued. There's a $50,000 capital expenditure requirement that's basically just what we're going to spend on paint, is my assumption in this location. The space is currently we're trying to work out exactly how we're going to be operating. And what I mean by that is there is a plan to have an art gallery in one area with some small retail spaces along the one corridor of the road, as well as a dining and live entertainment in the same space. Live entertainment acts should be small bands, no Metallica concerts, nothing outdoors in any capacity. The property takes up effectively the full lot on all sides except for the back, where there is a loading dock, but we plan to have dumpsters. We do not have a use permit for this space or a use draft. The section of the law doesn't require one to be had in advance, and that's one of the reasons we're here. First, the zoning has been put in a couple times. It's difficult over there in terms of getting things to a hearing at the moment. There's been some transitions. We have not been denied for a hearing in any capacity. It's just sometimes there's a couple of steps that are a challenge in that office with some of the remote work. We are seeking tavern use with live entertainment as we are with the use permit here. No outdoor table service has been requested according to this permit. And the hours of operation are typically going to be till 2 a.m., but we anticipate closing much earlier the vast majority of the nights. If there isn't going to be an act on, there's no reason to be open till 2. So I would anticipate most weeknights would be something much less of that. This is along the Charles corridor, so this is a major commercial corridor from the city from south to north. And there are many similar businesses within several blocks of this area. If I may,
Yeah, let's swear these gentlemen in.
thank you.
You raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answer that you give is the statement that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
And I guess the first person I'm actually going to ask on is Mr. Kelly Cross, because he's somebody who's been not just involved in the local community association, but in the basically neighborhood-wide development and redevelopment of an area both on this block and within several blocks in the area.
Yeah, we're familiar with Mr. Cross.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for seeing us this morning. As Abe said, this is a very exciting project for us in Old Goucher. I'm still president of the Old Goucher Community Association. As you know, we worked many years ago to create these new liquor licenses in the Old Goucher Revitalization District. They've all been put to amazing use, in my opinion, places like Dutch Courage, Fadden's Inn, and No Land Beyond, Sophomore Coffee, and some more places along the way that are coming. And this has been a problem intersection block for a very long time. It's a spot with a very underutilized large building. We believe bringing in a real artistic, neighborhood-oriented use to this spot is going to really activate that intersection and help to continue to catalyze growth in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Mr. Moses, you're the licensee in this application, correct?
Yes.
And as far as you know, everything that we stated in the application is still true and accurate as of today, correct?
Yes.
You have property in the area beyond your interest in developing this building, correct?
Correct.
And what kind of building is that you own in here besides this?
I own a 4-unit apartment building that's under renovation.
So the betterment of the community is something that you have a vested self-interest in,
Yes.
not just in this property, correct?
Correct.
We talked about the hours, and right now you're looking to have your hours be 2 a.m. every day, even though you anticipate closing before then, correct?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the rules and regulations of the Baltimore City Liquor Board?
Yes.
And part of that is you have to order alcohol from a wholesaler.
Understood?
You have to make sure that nobody is served who's under 21 years old. correct?
Yes. Yep.
And the 2 a.m. timeline, that is a hard cutoff. You understand that everyone has to be out of the building. No service can occur as of 2 a.m.
Yes.
At this time, I have no further questions for
Mr. Hurley, you're going to be submitting something to verify the investment?
Actually,
As of today, we have not.
actually, Mr. Chair, if I can make a point of clarification, Mr. Hurdle is correct that in 121603 there is a provision that requires capital investment, but however, 121603C7, which authorizes this, does not require capital investment. Those are for licenses authorized under 121603E2, which this is not.
Okay.
No capital investment for the record is required.
What I can say is, I have been in this building. It is a kind of clumsy office building. While we don't have any expenses that have been spent on the build-out as of today, we are certainly going to have significant expenses on the build-out in many fronts. I anticipate windows alone being well beyond the $50,000 rule that we really don't have to meet. So
And when does Mr. Moses expect to open?
Within the next year.
So it's going to be a while. It's a lot of work to do. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No question.
No questions.
Okay. Do you have anything further?
I would ask that the board approve this application.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from counsel and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license with live entertainment, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioners?
Based upon the application, the proffer, and testimony, I too would vote to approve this new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license with live entertainment, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Yes, based on the testimony materials provided today, I also approve the application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and the request for live entertainment, off-premise catering, and the delivery of alcoholic
Can't
beverages.
breathe. Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you. Good luck, sir. Thank you, Mr. Cross.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensees have received, or applicant has received instructions on how to legally obtain the new license that was preliminarily approved by the board today. Shall we move
Yes,
forward?
we may.
Moving forward to the violations docket, item number 1 has been postponed and will be rescheduled for a future hearing of the board, which brings us to item number 2, Sri Balaji Incorporated, trading as Portside Tavern and Lounge. Premises are located at 2821 to 23 O'Donnell Street. Licensees have been charged with 2 violations of the board's rules, which occurred on June the 5th, 2022, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, and Rule 4.16, illegal conduct.
Do we have service on the licensee?
We do.
Okay. Nobody's here. Agent Perez, will you be sworn in, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and statements that you make will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you tell us what happened on June 5?
Yes, Chairman. June 5, I, Agent Perez, along Inspector Robinson, conducted after-hours investigations at 2821 O'Donnell Street, also known as Portside Tavern. At approximately 2:40 a.m., we arrived at the establishment that appeared to be closed. All doors were closed, lights were off. Upon further investigation, I heard music emanating from the second floor. At this time, I attempted to gain entry, but there was no access to the interior of the establishment. After waiting several moments, Inspector Robinson observed a bouncer approach the front door, who stated the establishment was closed. At this time, Inspector Robinson identified himself as a BLLC inspector and instructed the bouncer to open the door. The bouncer opened the door, and I proceeded to the second floor of the establishment, where I observed approximately 20 individuals seated throughout the establishment consuming alcoholic beverages. I also observed several charcoal-lit hookahs. At this time, I met with the operator, Mr. Darwin Posadas, who I identify via his Maryland driver's license. When I asked Mr. Posadas why he was open and operating after 2 a.m., Mr. Posadas stated the establishment was closed and he was cleaning for the night. When I asked about the 20-plus individuals who were consuming alcoholic beverages, Mr. Posadas stated some were his friends and others had stayed over from a birthday party that they held earlier that night. I instructed Mr. Posadas to clear the bar of patrons. Only bar staff could remain in the building, and I informed him about an after-hours violation. While leaving the establishment at approximately 3 a.m., I observed several individuals arriving and attempting to gain entry to the establishment. These individuals left once we told them the establishment was closed. We departed without any further incidents.
And did you have anything to add, Inspector Robinson? No, sir. Okay. Have you been back?
The establishment has been closed.
It's been closed.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No question.
No questions. All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and testimony received this morning, find a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours on June 5, 2022, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct on June 5, 2022. And I would suspend this license until we find out what's going on with this place. Suspend it immediately. Commissioners?
Based upon the charging document and the testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.05 prohibited hours on June 5th, 2022. And I also find a violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct June 5, 2022, and concur with suspending this license. Do we need to have a time certain?
You could, Mr. Commissioner, you could also, I believe, suspend indefinitely upon motion of the licensee to come before the board and explain, and that would set the time, basically on a licensee's action. And we could set that in for a hearing if they want to come answer per the chairman's.
If they decline, we'll just revoke it, okay? So let's do that.
I concur.
And we'll,
Based on the testimony provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings of, or concur with the chair of suspending the license indefinitely on violation of Rule 4.05 prohibited hours on June 5th, 2022, and also violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct on June 5th, 2022.
Thank you.
for clarification, $125 admin fee.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd call exhibits of the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Agent Perez. 2, 2022 liquor license. 3, building, fire, and related code of Baltimore City. And 4, health code of Baltimore City.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That concludes this matter before the board. License will be suspended immediately and indefinitely pursuant to the board's order, and we will await further response as per the board's instructions. Next matter, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Item number 3 on the violations docket is trading as Trinacria Cafe, 111 West Center Street. Licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with 2 violations of the board's rules. That is stemming from the same incident on June the 5th, 2022. That is a violation of Rule 3.08 sanitation and safety, and a violation of Rule 3.06B signs and hours of operations.
Abraham Hurd on behalf of Trinacria Cafe, trading as at 111 Center Street.
And will this be an admission or denial?
This is an admission. We waive the reading if
That's fine.
needed. We
You
just
like-
go to mitigation.
Want to tell us what's going on?
My client has recently kind of taken over this property, and he's been struggling with some of the basic stuff, as things have been in the last few months. Some things are open, some things are not. You want everything to be easy to do, and it can be a struggle still sometimes. What I can say is that the health permit in question and the fire permit in question, my understanding is you have them, and they are up to date as of today, correct?
We have to swear them both in, please.
Here, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And this is Mr. Fiseha.
Would you step up and state your name for the record?
Morning, everyone. My name is Michael.
Okay, and you asked him a question, I believe.
Mr. Fiseha, you have, as of today, since June 5th, gotten the fire permit corrected and gotten the health permit corrected, any other outstanding permit issues corrected, is that right?
Correct.
And we are currently awaiting a transfer application for the liquor license at this time.
Correct.
And that application had gone in some time ago, but we struggled with getting some witnesses, is that right?
Correct.
Since this time, you and I have talked on a couple of occasions about how things have to be done going forward in terms of blocking exits, things of that nature, correct?
Correct.
And you have resolved those issues?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask Inspector Tudhope, okay? Have you been following up with this, Inspector?
I have been back once, yes.
And can you tell us, have things been corrected?
He did clear up the back passage area.
You did. And, so at this point, we don't have any violations going forward?
No, just the one I wrote.
Okay. And you were dealing with the current licensee, right?
I dealt with a Mr. Michael Fisher.
So that's this gentleman. So, but he's,
Contract purchase, sir.
so what is pending? That he's taking over or selling?
Formal transfer is pending.
And who's going to be the licensee?
He will be.
Okay, okay. But who's the licensee at the present time?
Technically, it's Michael, I think. It's a very complicated situation.
Mr. Hurdle is correct. In order to facilitate the business with the section of code that allows for financial interests. A contract purchase was made
Oh, I
with,
see.
and the business was allowed to be continued to operate pending the transfer application that was filed. So everything is in accordance with what is authorized under the alcoholic beverages article. It's just a bit out of the ordinary for how things normally operate, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And if I may, any delays in this process have been entirely my fault, not the board. The board's been wonderful in regard to this matter. There've just been some, yeah.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No question.
Did you face any, did Mr. Paceja face any fines or citations from the city as a result of this from any other agency?
I have not received or represented him in regards to any other fines from the fire department or health department at this time. That isn't to say that they wouldn't be coming down the road. They typically take a little longer. You guys are more proactive.
Thank you.
Okay. And are they cooperative?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything further?
We would ask that any fine be suspended, if possible, given the first-time offense and his quick resolution to the issue.
Okay. All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, which included an admission on behalf of the licensee of the violations and testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety on June 5, 2022, and a violation of Rule 3.06B, signs and hours of operation on June 5, 2022. In light of all the testimony, I would impose nominal fines of $50 as to each and give them 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging documents, the proffer, the admission, and the testimony, I too would find a violation of Rule 3.08A on June 5, 2022, concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.06B on June 5, 2022, and also concur with the imposition of a $50 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings, a violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety on June the 5th, 2022, and a fine of $50. And also a violation of Rule 3.06B, signs and hours of operation on June 5th, 2022, and a fine of $50.
Ms. Russell?
Might call exhibits of the record. Board Exhibit 1, Violation Report, Inspector Tudhope.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee has received instructions on how to pay the fines that were imposed by the board today and any attendant fees. And counsel, I note for the record that the pending application, these have to be settled before the board can hear your case. The next matter, Mr. Chair?
Yes, let's move forward.
All right. Item number 4 on the violations docket, 2 Louis Cantina LLC, trading as 2 Louis Cantina Bar and Grill. Premises are located at 200 South Haven Street. Licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with 1 violation stemming from 1 incident the board inspectors observed on June the 5th, 2022, which is a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours.
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman, along with Abraham Hurdle, on behalf of the licensee and the applicant. Thank you.
Good morning. Is this going to be admission or denial?
This is going to be a denial, mostly so so we can explain the situation.
That's everybody raise their right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give in the statement say you may be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. Who's going to speak on behalf of the liquor board? Okay, Inspector. Just state your name first, please.
Inspector Walter Robinson.
And what do you want to tell us about June 5?
So I'm going to read off of my report.
Okay.
On June 5th, 2022, at approximately 2 a.m., I, Inspector Robinson, and Agent Perez conducted an investigation to see if the above-mentioned establishment was operating after hours. Upon arrival, Agent Perez and I sat in our vehicles and monitored their establishment. A few minutes later, we saw patrons leaving the establishment. At approximately 2:15 a.m., a physical altercation took place outside of the establishment. After the altercation, we observed several people going back inside. At 2:20 a.m., Agent Perez and I went inside the establishment and witnessed approximately 20 people inside. Some of the people had drinks in their hand. At this time, manager Sunil Sharma, identified by his Maryland driver's license, told all patrons to leave. He then explained to Agent Perez that he was pepper sprayed in the midst of a physical altercation. Mr. Sharma was informed that he was operating after hours. Agent Perez and I left without any further incident.
Questions for the inspector?
Thank you, Inspector. Now, you say in your report you arrived at 2 a.m., right?
Yes.
But that you didn't get out of the car until 2:20?
Correct.
All right. Is it possible that you could have arrived before the bar closed?
In fact, I did arrive a little bit before the bar closed.
Okay, before 2 a.m.
Correct.
All right. And in fact, it was a little bit earlier that you spoke with Mr. Sharma than 2:20 a.m. Isn't that
No,
right?
it was approximately 2:20.
Approximately, okay. And in fact, Mr. Sharma, as in the report here, and his son, the applicant, Neil Sharma, they were both on site, isn't that right?
Correct.
All right. And they appeared to have been pepper sprayed, isn't that right?
I was not aware until we made entry.
Okay, but I mean, when you looked at their faces, did they look teary-eyed? Did they look like they're just totally normal?
There was red around their eyes.
Okay, and did they explain to you that they had been incapacitated and unable to get people out of the bar from the time they were pepper sprayed until about 10 after 2?
Yes, they did.
Okay. All right, I have nothing further. Were they cooperative?
Very much so.
Thank you very much.
Well, I have a question. So did they tell you that they were pepper sprayed at 2:10 during this fight or before that?
They told us, so we made entry around 2:20, and that's when he explained.
But you watched the fight at 2:10 outside, right?
Correct.
Is that when they got pepper sprayed?
I believe so. I didn't see the pepper spray happen. It wasn't until Mr. Sharma informed me, and then he showed me his eyes, the red.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Agent Perez, you have anything to add?
It will be the same.
Okay. Do you have any testimony you want to present?
Yes, very briefly. Thank you. We'll call Sunil Sharma.
Okay. You have to step up, sir, and give us your name.
I'm Sunil Sharma, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Fogel.
Thank you. And Mr. Sharma, your son, Neil Sharma, is the applicant for the transfer of this license?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you are a liquor licensee yourself in Baltimore City, right?
Yes.
All right. And you run an effective operation. And what's the address there?
That's the 200 South Haven Street.
No.
Oh, that's the 4627 Harper Road, which is the Harper Road Liquor.
And you're helping your son get established there, right?
Yes.
All right. So both you and him are on duty at
Yes,
the
sir.
establishment
Yes,
at
sir.
closing time. So tell me what time and what happened to you.
I'm always closing. I tell to my all customers that's the out by the 1:50, 1:55. Everyone be out, and we are be preparing my also security. That time just I hired the new security just 1 week ago, and the security is aggressive.
Okay. So at what time did an altercation occur?
Around 1:50.
All right.
Security bring the one customer out to forcefully, and that customer argue with security, and after that the security's wife over there, other security, there are two security, and she did pepper spray to that customer and also 6 another people like my son, my another manager, my manager's son, like 6 people is infected from the pepper sprays, and that time all eyes burning. We go to the bathroom, we get the milk and put on the eyes. Everyone is, that's the reason only we are not take it out to customers out.
Have you ever been pepper sprayed before?
Never ever.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, your son had never been pepper sprayed before?
No.
Nor the other manager?
Other manager is nobody got the pepper sprayed before.
So what was the status of the security guard who went
Security
wild?
guard is outside. He's not inside. He fighting with the other customer, like argue and fighting. And
What did
so
you do with your security guard, with your security company after this?
I fired that security company. I'm not keeping
All
this.
right, has new
aggressive.
security been hired?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you having any problem with new security?
No.
All right. So at what time did you first speak to the liquor board, to the inspectors?
Around like once I'm in the bathroom and come back, then I see liquor board inspector, both are there, and I tell them, I explain that this is the happen and that is the reason only they are not come out, and I'm sorry, and I cooperate to inspectors.
And what time was that?
Around 2:05.
Okay. All right. Now, you understand that this place has a reputation for customers who don't seem to want to leave or who want live entertainment when there is none. What steps have you taken since this incident to make sure that
I
you're able
always
to-
try to take it out all the customer before 1:50 everyone be out and no live entertainment, nothing. Just I play music on the computer.
Yeah. And your son, Neil Sharma, the applicant, is in fact in New Zealand right now.
New
Is that
Zealand,
right?
Auckland, study abroad from the Loyola University. He went to over there for the
Okay.
4.5 months.
All right. Otherwise, he would be here today.
Yeah, otherwise we
Fantastic.
definitely he'll be here today.
And Mr. Sharma, your son is remotely closing on the property of this property tomorrow morning. Isn't that
Yes,
right?
yes, sir, right.
All right. And so, when you and your son came into this place, the health permit was revoked, was it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was the health permit revoked when your son came into operation?
Actually, my English little bit poor,
Okay.
so I'm not
Okay,
understand
when you-
totally.
When you took over the establishment, your
Yeah.
son took over the establishment.
Yeah.
Was the health department certificate revoked?
Once I took over that time, the health department certificate is revoked.
So how much money did you put into the kitchen just to get your food
Just
permit?
on the kitchen, I put at least around $40,000 to $45,000
All
around
right.
approximate.
All right, and that's all I have at this time.
So I have a couple of questions. So first of all, were the police called about this fight?
Were the police called about the fight?
No police, because that's the only, at the front of my liquor store has like some old age people's community building, something. So that one person is always on the wheelchair guy. He always called to 10 times to liquor board and police.
No, I'm asking you if you called the police or if
No, I
Neil
don't have a
Sharma-
chance to, because we are pain in the eyes, so we have no chance to call to anyone.
So how did it get taken care of?
How did they?
How did they stop the dispute?
So what happened after the person was pepper sprayed? Did they leave?
That person is leave after that, and
Okay.
security is there, still security is there. Security explained to the liquor board inspectors that's the happening is going on, and they understand. They say no, but we see over here, so we have to write the citation.
Okay. Now, Mr. Fogelman, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So Louis George is the licensee, right?
Yes, he is present.
And you represent him?
I do.
Okay. And Mr. Sharma's son has a pending transfer application?
Yes, he was approved, and thank you for asking that. He was approved by this board about 60 days ago. He has a MOU in the file with the Highlandtown Community Association. As you can see from the record, this place has a long and tortured history.
It's a very bad record.
So I do believe that the neighborhood is still hopeful that we have a better management in place. And I
So how
think
far are we away from the transfer?
tomorrow, everything is done except the closing. Mr. George will be signing the transfer authorization affidavit of compliance and bill of sale tomorrow, and that should conclude that transfer. So that's why this is tragic, it's ironic, you can call it many things. But we're here today imploring the board not to revoke the license. This was a big wake-up call, quite frankly. This is a club that we used to get calls about when I was on the liquor board. And we have new management. There were some stumbles out of the gate. I think that's clear. I think this was a big wake-up call for them, because to be pepper sprayed, to be physically injured as a result of just trying to do your job and clear out your own business, you realize you need security, good security, to assist you. You're not going to do that with one guy with a pepper spray. So I do think the future here is brighter than the past, and for those reasons.
It's not saying much.
No, it's not. And Mr. Sharma has is paying a lot of money for the building tomorrow at closing. So it is a lifetime investment. It's an investment on both parts of the son and father.
Okay, well, I'm going to let Mr. Hurdle speak in a minute, but let me ask our inspectors, have you dealt with Mr. Sharma before or since?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Chief, why don't you come up? And state your name for the record, please.
Chief Chris Simmons, Baltimore City Liquor Board. I have dealt with this gentleman on several occasions. I think that, well, just for the record, though, it should be clearly stated that he is the applicant that was in operational control during this violation.
I finally figured that out.
That will go under the previous licensee, but he does ask a lot of questions. He does try. I think that there needs to be some sort of operational plan that you need to sit down and establish, because you've also voiced to me issues that you have with your own personnel not listening to your orders and not listening to your directives in managing the place. So I think you need some internal things done. And then the security company, is that a third-party security company? And they are insured and licensed by the Maryland State Police?
Yeah, that.
You verified that?
No, they are working at the Crest Bar, so they are.
But are they licensed? Well, I know a lot of people that have a gun that don't have a license. Are they licensed?
He says he has everything.
Okay, you need to can we verify that and get a copy to us?
But I had to talk, but I already fired, so maybe he already met with me, so he gave me or not, I'm not sure.
He's talking about any present and future.
The new, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I've dealt with him several times. He's called on himself actually and said, hey, we need I need my manager removed because she's not listening and closing the bar. So I think he wants to do the right thing. I just think he needs to be coached and taught how to do the right thing.
So, Mr. Sharma, at least my vote's going to be not to suspend this license today, but I'm going to tell you, you have to work with the chief, and you have to come up with an operational plan that's acceptable to the board if you want to keep this license open. And I'm going to ask you to do that in the next 30 days and work with him. Otherwise, we're going to have serious problems. I don't know what the other commissioners are saying, but that would be my vote on that. I want to give Mr. Hurdle a chance to tell us about his client. If you want to say anything about it before we?
The only thing I would add, Abraham on behalf of Louis George to Louis Cantina, is similar to what the chief said, which is that this is an operator who is currently under a management agreement, not my client, who's had at least recently, no violations for a couple
2
months,
years.
so some time. So he's doing a good job, but this would be under the new operator. That's all we would say. And it doesn't look like we're going to be
except it's on
closing
him.
tomorrow on this transaction. I think 10:30 is when we're scheduled.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. All right. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received today, I find a violation of Rule 4.05 prohibited hours on June 5, 2022. This is, as everyone has admitted, it's a terrible record this place has. As of tomorrow, it's going to change hands. The new operator is starting out with this problem, which I hope has been resolved. And as I said, my vote would be not to suspend the license, but only on the condition that they work out this operational plan that's acceptable to our chief and to our organization. As to this violation, I would impose a $100 fine and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, is that a question? Is $100 on 405? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
Based upon the charging document and the testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.05 prohibited hours, June 5, 2022. I understand Mr. Sharma was in operational control. I understand that he, unfortunately was a victim in this as well. I'm extremely concerned about this operation going forward. A number of things were raised in a testimony with respect to your son. He's not in the country. He's the applicant. you have another establishment that you're running, and you're taking over this one, which has a very, very challenging past. I concur with the chairman in terms of an operational plan to get to the chief inspector within the next, I would say, 2 weeks. And I will as well concur with his imposition of a $100 fine.
Yes. Also, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. Looking at the record, the establishment, the licensee does have a long history of violations, and it seems the last 2 violations in 19 and 18 were 401A sale to minors. I am concerned about the future because of their history, and I agree with the chair that they have to work out an operational plan and make sure that you include the chief inspector and his group.
You concur with the fine, Commissioner?
Yeah, I confer with the fine of $100.
And did you find a violation for the record?
Violation of Rule 405, prohibited hours, June the 5th, 2022, and a fine of $100.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Robinson. Board Exhibit number 2, 2022 liquor license.
Did you want to submit those letters as to the record?
I could, yeah.
It's up to you.
They would be in the file for the transfer, but this is another an extra copy.
We'll take them in.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. And I have the chief's email, and we will get him documentation and such. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee and applicant have received instructions on how to pay the fine and any attendant fees from the violation that the board found them today. Next matter, Mr.
Move to the
Chair.
next case then.
Item number 5 on the violations docket, New Burgers Incorporated trading as Burgers Tavern. Premises are located at 5523 Bel Air Road. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and are charged with 3 violations of the board's rules stemming from a single incident on June the 19th, 2022, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.07A, open containers and illegal possession and consumption of alcoholic beverages, a violation of Rule 4.14, live entertainment without authorization, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare.
Ms. Russell, do we have service on the licensees?
We do.
Okay. Inspector, you're under oath. You want to tell us what happened on June 19th?
Yes, sir. On June 19th, 2022, at approximately 1:50, a 311 complaint was received for 5523 Bel Air Road, known as Burgers Tavern, for alleged disturbing the peace, loud music, front door open. The caller stated the location was having an outdoor function, which was selling and handling food outdoors and blasting music very loud. I, Inspector Tudhope, responded to the call at approximately 5:45. I, Inspector Tudhope, parked my car across the street from the establishment and could hear music at an extremely high volume coming from the establishment side door. I, Inspector Tudhope, observed people standing at the side door located on Anna Street Avenue, should I say, smoking and drinking bottles of beer and what appeared to be alcohol beverages. I observed multiple people exiting the same side door carrying beer and glasses of what appeared to be alcohol and walking to the lot behind the establishment where 4 canopy tents were set up with chairs and tables. I, Inspector Tudhope, observed approximately 20 people outside using this area. I proceeded inside. Once inside, I observed a DJ playing music out of 2 large amplified speakers. I, Inspector Tudhope, made contact with the manager, Miss Vernita Jean Blackwell, as identified by her Maryland driver's license, and made her aware of the 311 complaint. I, Inspector Tudhope, asked to see the establishment's liquor license. Upon review of the liquor license, I observed the establishment did not have outdoor table service or live entertainment permitted. Ms. Blackwell stated that she was told she was allowed to have live entertainment by the licensee and was having a Father's Day event. Ms. Blackwell informed people drinking outside that the music was... Sorry, let me reread that. I informed Ms. Blackwell that the people outside and the music was disturbing the peace, and she was not permitted to use the outdoor seating, and she did not have live entertainment. Ms. Blackwell proceeded to move all patrons inside the establishment, and the DJ was told to stop for the day. I, Inspector Tuttup, informed Ms. Blackwell the establishment would be receiving violations. I left the establishment without further incident.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Thank you, Inspector. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received this morning, I find a violation of Rule 4.07 small a, open containers, illegal possession and consumption of alcoholic beverages on June 19, 2022. I find a violation of Rule 4.14 live entertainment without authorization on June 19, 2022. And I find a violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare on June 19, 2022 because of the excessive noise that was emanating from the establishment. I don't know why the licensee elected not to appear. They've only had this license for a year, and they're giving the wrong information to their management, and they're not in compliance with our summons. I'd impose $1,000 fine as to each of the violations for $3,000 and give them 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document and the testimony, I find a violation of Rule 4.07A on June 19, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine. I find a violation of Rule 4.14 on June 19, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.12 on June 19, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony materials provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.07A, open containers and illegal possession and consumption of alcoholic beverages on June 19, 2022, with a fine of $1,000. Also a violation of Rule 4.14, live entertainment without authorization on June 19, 2022, and a fine of $1,000. Also in violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare on June 19, 2022, and a fine of $1,000, which is a total of $3,000.
Ms. Russell?
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, service request summary report.
Thank you, Inspector.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will be sent instructions on how to pay the fines for the penalties imposed by the board today and any attendant fees that go along with them. The final matter, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Item number 6 on the violation docket, SBD Group LLC, trading as Liquor House and Bar. Premises are located at 3 East North Avenue. Licensees hold a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and are charged with one violation of the board's rules stemming from an incident on June the 16th, 2022. That is a violation of Rule 3.08, sanitation and safety.
Counsel?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jay Yu representing the applicant.
Good morning. Mr. Yu, will this be an admission or denial?
It'll be an admission and we'll waive the reading.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, Your Honor. Basically, one of the employee who works at the bar, Mr. Lemus, he wasn't aware of the days that the trash is to picked up, the recycled trash. So basically, he put it out sooner than he should, and the licensee tells me that it used to be every Thursday. It was used to be Thursdays that the recycles are picked up, but now it's every other Thursday.
No, every other Friday.
Every other Friday, I'm sorry.
No.
So, but, you know, regardless, my client has decided not to rely on the city, but rather utilize a private trash picking company to just alleviate the entire problem.
We have pictures. I mean, there's a lot of debris.
Yes.
So,
well, a lot of some of the debris are, I guess, put there by other businesses and other, I guess, the neighborhoods.
But as you can see, it's a problem.
Yes. So I guess, you know, as with the trash, if there's a trash out there, then people put more trash out there. So my client has decided not to utilize the service of the city. Rather, he hired a private hauling company to pick up the trash from inside the store directly. Per the rule, it seems to require that a container be provided, but this location you can't put the container there because only place they can put it is in front of the store, and that'll be a sore to eye, right on the North Avenue. So they have decided to keep the trash inside the store and have a private trash hauling company come inside and bring it out every week. That's what they have decided.
Inspector, have you been back?
I have been back and I issued another violation about 2 weeks later, but since I've been back the last week, I have not seen any trash. Their trash pickups are on Wednesdays and their recycling is every other week on a Friday.
Okay. So you've got another violation pending?
I didn't know about that, but what I know for sure is that they did hire a private trash hauling company. They did contact, I have an email here, they hired Corky's and the waste management, but they all required that the dumpster be put out, and they don't have a place for that. So what they did was they hired a smaller private trash hauling company to actually deliver the trash out from the store and haul it out. That's what they've decided.
Okay.
After the second citation, I guess they learned their lesson.
And has he been cooperative?
Yes, sir, it was cooperative.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yu. On the basis that the materials contained in the charging document proffer from counsel, which included an admission of the violation on behalf of his client and the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 3.08, Sanitation and Safety, on June 16, 2022. This is the first violation by this licensee, so be lenient. I would impose a $200 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer, which includes the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 3.08 on June 16, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $200 fine.
Based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings, a violation of Rule 3.08, Sanitation and Safety, on June 16, 2022, and a fine of $200.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tuthope.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yu. Good luck to you, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council and licensee will receive instructions from this agency on how to pay the fine and any attendant fees that go with the board's finding of a violation today. Mr. Chairman, we have been joined by a member in the audience, and I don't know if he wishes to be heard, but I believe he has relation to the violation with Portside. Did you wish to be heard, sir, at all? Okay.
Come forward, please. Which case is this?
This was the Portside, the violation that no one had appeared for. And if the chair, it's certainly the board's prerogative to hear or not hear. I just observed his attendance.
Well, let's swear this gentleman in, please. You can't.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
I just want to be clear on which case we're talking about. Which case?
I can recall the case, even though the board has imposed a finding. It is item number 2 on the violations docket. For the record, recalling for the purposes of hearing from this gentleman, Sri Balaji Incorporated, trading as Portside Tavern and Lounge. Premises are located at 2821 to 23 O'Donnell Street, holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and were found in violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, and Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on June the 5th, 2022.
And your name, sir?
Mohan Thapa.
And, sir, what did you want to tell us?
Your Honor, I was out of country that day. My manager, which I was supposed to come in, can't find the building that was running that building that day. At the time, she mentioned that they were cleaning, when the officer came, they were cleaning the establishment in the second floor. She said that she mentioned, when I got that notice, I asked her what happened, and she said that she spoke to the officer that came in there, that the officer told her it wasn't a violation, it was just for you to close the place quicker instead of, having lights and everything on. But I found out there was a violation, so she was supposed to come in here, she didn't come. Also, on that month, June 30th, we closed the business, and we are I cannot no longer run the business. The lease is, we had a 1 year left on the lease, but because we couldn't do business there well. We're on the upside from the Canton area, so we gave back the liquor license and the building back to the landlord, and they asked us to sign the liquor license transfer back to them. So the place has been closed since June 30th.
You are Mr. Waggle?
No, I'm a Mohan. I manage the place for Mr.
Oh, you're
Waggle.
not on the license.
I'm not on the license, but I'm the one who's managing the place
All right.
the entire time.
And were you here when we called this case today?
No, sir, I was not here. I was a little late because I couldn't find the parking.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, I appreciate your input. You know, please advise them that the license is suspended at this point. If they want to maintain it, they're going to have to request a hearing on it. Okay.
They're gonna have to what, sir?
Ask us for a hearing.
The landlords?
Whoever has the license, these current licensees. Otherwise, we're going to revoke the license.
The license has been suspended.
Okay, so is it suspended for certain times or?
Indefinitely.
Okay.
So there's no license there until they come in here before us and explain what's going on.
Sweet. Yep.
Okay?
And Mr. Chairman, I think if you'll indulge the chief, I think he just had a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Just one quick question from Mr. Mohan. What other establishments are you affiliated with, sir, or you operate?
Right now, I am running the Eastern Avenue.
Main Street Liquors?
Main
Okay.
Street. I'm gonna be managing that place.
Okay. Any involvement in Good Vibes on
No,
O'Donnell
no,
Street?
No involvement. I
No.
saw you there that day. I was just there just to
just
have some
wondered.
food.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw you there that day.
sir.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think that concludes our docket. Mr. Belinda, you want to read the adjournment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That concludes today's docket of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board shall stand in recess until its next hearing, which will be Thursday, August the 11th, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. here in room 215, City Hall, 100 North Holiday Street. That is all we have for the board, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you to the commissioners and the board, its staff, inspectors, and everyone, and we'll see you on August 11th.
We're off the record at 11:30.